Hi everyone, welcome to the St Nicholas Cluster Virtual Assembly. Hope you're all well. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mr Armstrong. I am a PE teacher at St Nicholas Catholic High School, and I'm also the PE and school sport coordinator for the St Nicholas Cluster as part of the Vale Royal School Sport Partnership. Now, unfortunately, this term we've not been able to bring our athletic friends into your school to meet you, but we have been asking you to write some questions that I can put to today. Now, we are really fortunate to be joined by cyclist Pete Mitchell. Pete, thanks for joining us.
How you doing, everyone? Pleasure to be here.
So we'll get started straight away. We'll get straight into the questions. And the first one is from Olivia and Rory, both in Year 4, and also Hugh, who's in Year 3 at St Bede's Catholic Primary School. And they want to know a little bit about your normal day-to-day life before COVID-19, and also ask what sort of training is required to become a champion like you.
Great, fantastic questions to start with. So if I give a little bit more information about myself to kind of set the scene, I guess. So I'm a member of the Great Britain cycling team. I'm with the paracycling team, and I'm a tandem pilot, which means I ride on the front of a tandem, which is a bike for 2 people, and the person on the back is visually impaired. So it's quite an interesting job working kind of with a visually impaired person with paracycling for people with disabilities, even though I'm able-bodied. But my training is kind of exactly the same as everybody else. You know, the stronger and fitter and faster I am, the faster the bike goes and the better chance we've got of winning. So it's very important I'm kind of at the peak of my physical ability. In terms of training, kind of the average week, we probably would have 2 or 3 gym sessions, 2 or 3 training sessions on the velodrome, and then maybe 1 or 2 road rides as well out in the countryside. So probably 5 or 6 sessions a week. And yeah, that's kind of what my week looks like. In terms of how to become kind of a champion, very kind of you to say, but how do you kind of be the best you can be? You know, it's kind of the way to look at it is it's kind of a way of life. So it's not, you know, it's fun. I really enjoy it. But all the time I have to kind of have in the back of my mind, am I eating well? Am I sleeping well? You know, am I kind of looking after every aspect of being the best that I can be? And, you know, that might sound quite intense, and there's really good fun times as well, of course. And ultimately I'm riding my bike. Like, that's really good fun as well. But yeah, I guess in terms of being the best you can be, you have to think about the whole picture. And it's not just about trying hard in training, it's also about kind of looking after yourself as well, I guess.
Yeah, brilliant. So how has training kind of changed now with the whole lockdown thing going on? Has it changed you at all? Because I know that I've seen some stuff on social media of you training with the kids. How have you been able to keep active during lockdown?
Yeah, so it's been, I mean, I say it's been hard, it's been good fun, and things have changed a lot. So, you know, I've got 3 kids, they're all at home with me, they're all quite young, so they kind of take a lot of attention. I've been training in the garden basically, so I've got a turbo trainer so I can put my bike on a static bike. I've been using something called Zwift, which is kind of like virtual reality on a bike. So as you turn the pedals, you know, it kind of takes you on a course and you see other people, which has been quite entertaining. Doing gym sessions in the garden. So it's been good fun. It's been, you know, it's changed a lot. Normally I'd be going into the velodrome. Obviously that's not happening. But with the Paralympics getting moved back a year, it does give us all kind of more time to prepare, but also there's less pressure now. So it doesn't matter so much that things aren't quite perfect. So to be honest, I've been enjoying time with the family, you know, it's, and kind of working training around that a little bit. So yeah, big impact, but it's been, to be honest, we've quite enjoyed it. It's been good fun.
Yeah, brilliant. So Joshua in Year 6 at St Wilfrid's, and Carmi, who's also in Year 6, and Eva in Year 4 at St Mary's, they've all been trying to get involved with daily challenges, and they've said, have you been able to keep on cycling during lockdown?
Yeah, so we have, yeah, and you know, as I say, Zwift's been really good. This virtual reality cycling has been fantastic, and you know, that's kind of what I've been doing to kind of keep cycling. You know, I think for me, it's been very much that kind of to a certain extent, cycling has taken not a back seat, but it's just thinking about, right, how can we get through this time in the best way? You know, it's kind of like you guys not being at school. You know, suddenly it's not the most important, not even the most important thing, but it's not the most in-your-face thing. You know, you can kind of almost forget about it, but it's still really important. But you need to manage that with everything else that's going on, because it's not a normal time, so you can't just pretend it is. So you need to do a little bit of training, like you guys need to do stuff around school, but equally you need to make sure you're having fun, you're speaking to people, you're kind of doing all the other things to look after yourself as well. You know, it just kind of changes the way things work a little bit. So yeah, I have been able to train. It has been good, and I've got some good work done. But I've given everything else a little bit of attention as well. Yeah.
Bro, yeah, I know that this has been a really, really good time for people to try and learn new hobbies or new skills or anything like that. Is there anything that you've been doing extra, anything different that you wouldn't usually do at this time?
I haven't really learned a new skill. I tried to bake banana bread the other day and nearly set the house on fire. The oven was on the wrong setting, so that didn't go very well. To be honest, my kids, I've got twin boys who are 1 and a 3-year-old, so they're pretty, you know, you kind of can't avoid them, to be honest. So it's been a lot of time spent with them. We bought a trampoline, so everyone's been learning tricks. So yeah, I'd say it's been a lot of kind of playing and fun around the serious cycling business to keep me entertained. Don't have the luxury of learning to play the guitar, unfortunately.
Sounds good. So the next question is from Helena, who's in Year 6 at St Bede's, and she asks, as an able-bodied cyclist, why did you decide to become a pilot in paracycling?
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Whenever I kind of stand up and say I'm a paracyclist, everyone looks at me to kind of work out, you know, what's not working kind of fully on my body, and actually I'm able-bodied. So ultimately, the reason that I started paracycling was because I used to be training for the Olympics on the kind of Olympic team, as it were, or kind of, you know, the Great Britain team training for the Olympics. And then I wasn't good enough, and I got dropped from the program. It wasn't my strength, and I gave paracycling a go to continue riding a bike, really, and getting paid to do it, and you know, being able to train and push myself and all that kind of stuff. And it still gives fantastic racing opportunities. And then it turns out I was better at it, which helped a lot as well. So I was kind of able to do it for a lot longer. So yeah, it's one of those things that came about just because I love what I do. I love riding my bike. I love getting kind of not having to work around it. You know, it's a dream come true to be able to do that. And it was the best option for me to continue. And then, as I say, it worked out that I was better than that at riding the tandem than I was by myself anyway. So it was kind of a win-win in the end.
Very good. So you talked before a little bit about the tandem, and you talked about how you're the pilot and things like that. And Alexi's done a lot of research. Alexi's in Year 5 at St Wilfrid's, and she asked, what methods have you used to build trust between yourself and your visually impaired tandem cycling partner?
I saw that one, Alexi. That's a fantastic question, because, you know, it's very, you know, he put, as you say, he puts a lot of trust in me. You know, our kind of top speeds are about 45 miles an hour. And, you know, imagine how scary that is when you've got your eyes shut and you've got no idea where the corners are, and all that kind of responsibility is on the person at the front doing the steering. And we do crash, you know, not often, but we do crash, and it's scary. It must be incredibly scary for them. And I think, honestly, it helps a little bit that people who are visually impaired are used to putting trust in other people to be guided, you know, be a guide dog, or another person. So I think that helps. They naturally have to trust people, you know, and kind of take that brave step on an everyday kind of, you know, almost every day they have to kind of trust somebody like that. And we just kind of talked about it, you know, after each effort. I'm always asking Neil or James, who I might ride with, how they thought the effort went. Was there things we could have done differently? Did they feel like it was a good effort, and how can we improve from there? So we haven't done any kind of strategies or kind of high level, like, you know, kind of interventions or magic workshops that made it happen. It just took time. It just took time getting to know each other, talking together, and just building that trust as friends, essentially. Yeah, that's kind of how we did it.
So as you're competing, is it too loud to be able to communicate between the two of you as you're actually competing, or is it something that you can do as you're racing, or is it more something that you have to wait until at the end that you can have that communication?
Yeah, well, so in the Paralympics, the event we do is the 1 kilometer time trial. So we just do 4 laps of the track as fast as we can from a standing start. And that kind of means, because it's against the clock, it is always exactly the same. So we can't, although Neil or James can't see really what's going on, it is always the same. So they know what's coming. They know when we're going to sit down. They know where the corners are. We stay at the bottom of the track, and it's very, very practiced. So there's no need for communication. The other event we do, which it has been in the Paralympics but is not currently, is the match sprint. That does need some communication. So we might snatch kind of one-word messages to each other, like now or more or easy or something like that, to mean that somebody's got to go, somebody's got to try harder, or someone's trying too hard. So we might snatch one word out. But if you imagine sticking your head outside the car window, not saying you should do this, but if you imagine how loud it is when the windows are down at 40 miles an hour and trying to have a conversation with a helmet on as well, it's incredibly difficult. So it tends to be that you feel the kind of effort through the bike and copy, essentially. You know, if I'm pushing hard on the pedals, then Neil or James can feel the acceleration and do the same themselves. But it just takes a lot of practice.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit there about the Paralympics, and we've got a question here now from the youngest student we've had a question in from, which is Ted, who's in year 1 at St. Joseph's. And he says, what's it like competing at the Paralympics?
Yeah, and again, Ted, that's a really good question. You know, I think the Paralympics is very special because it's the only event I've ever competed in where the actual medal, the actual event itself, means so much to people. You know, so if you are a Paralympian, that kind of represents something. That represents that you've achieved in your sport. It represents that, you know, in terms of equality, of bringing disability sport to the big stage and to the public and to the people watching at home, you know, kind of part of a disability movement. And it's something that I feel very privileged to be a part of, particularly as an able-bodied athlete, you know, because it is changing the way that people see disability, because they see people with disability competing at such a high level, and being so well trained, performing in such an incredible way. So yeah, in terms of what's it like to compete at the Paralympics, it means an awful lot. That's quite a complicated answer, but it's not just a race. It's not just the first person across the line wins. You know, it's about developing the perceptions of disability. So I honestly feel privileged to be a part of it. It's something that's very special.
Yeah, well, so sort of like tagging on to that answer really, Izzy, who's also at St. Joseph's Catholic Primary School, she's in year 5. She said, how do you cope with the pressure of competing on the world stage? Are there any strategies that you might use to sort of cope with that pressure?
Yeah, thanks, Izzy. So yeah, so I'm 30 now, so I've been doing this quite a long time. 12 years I've been professional, and I've messed about with loads of different things. And to put it simply, you know, I say certain things to myself before I race that calm me down. So things like, my family still love me, I'm proud to represent my country, I'm going to give 100%. You know, these are things that kind of make me think, actually, this is just a bike race, you know. And I think we all have scary things in life, be it exams, be it parents' evening, whatever it is. You know, we all have these scary things. Job interviews when you're older. Mine just so happens to be racing, and lots of people are watching. But we all have scary things. And the thing that kind of calms me down the most, ironically, my dog is shaking in the corner there, is if I'm on the start line and I feel nervous, I close my eyes and I think about taking the dogs for a walk around the back of my house, because that's a really happy place for me. It's really relaxed, it's really chilled, and it reminds me that it's just a bike race and it doesn't really matter. As much as I want it, it doesn't affect the big stuff in my life, which is my family and having a nice chilled dog walk, you know, with my kids and my wife. That's it really. So yeah, that's how I deal with the pressure.
Well, thanks very much, Pete. So the next question's from one of the GCSE PE students at St. Nicholas at my school, St. Nicholas Catholic High, and it's Sophie, who's in year 10. And she asks, have there been any setbacks that you've had to face to get where you are now, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, thanks, Sophie. I think changing from the Olympic kind of program, as it were, to the Paralympic program was hard, because I essentially was told I wasn't good enough, and that was a big knock to my confidence. And it was rubbish as well, because I really do enjoy what I do. So that was hard. And in terms of how I got over it, it was just about exploring other opportunities and working out what I could do to kind of put all my enthusiasm into to kind of find something that I found just as rewarding. I also had I had a really big car crash, unfortunately, last year. So I'm kind of on the COVID situation's kind of interrupted my rehab. So it's quite a strange time for me. I had a big head injury, so I was getting various dizziness and rubbish things happening for a good few months. So I was originally told that I definitely would not be going to Tokyo due to the head injury and the time that I've missed training. And now they put it back a year. It's kind of, there's a long, long way to go, and I still need to get completely better. But in a way, it's quite exciting for me that might be, the road to Tokyo might still be something that I can explore and really go after. So I'm kind of going through on my own journey at the moment, and it comes back to the really kind of simple answer of how do I want to get there in a year's time? Well, think about what I can do today to help that happen and do those things. And if I get there, I get there. And if I don't, then I know that I did what I could, and if I start feeling stressed about it, just close your eyes and think about taking the dogs for a walk. and again, just kind of chills you out and makes you realise that hopefully it will happen. But if it doesn't, there's still good stuff going on in my life. And I appreciate that. And, we get serious quite quickly, don't we, when we talk about these things. But yeah, that's kind of a setback, I guess, I've had to deal with recently.
Yeah, brilliant. So we've got one more question, really, and then we'll sort of have some final thoughts and a little bit of conclusion. So can you just think back a little bit, well, hopefully not too long ago, really, from when you were in school, and you can put yourself in the shoes of the children now. What were your experiences of sport when you were in school? Was it all about cycling, or was there other sports activities that were obviously of interest to you?
Yeah, so I started cycling when I was 12. I started racing kind of 13, 14. And obviously cycling's a sport which, you can have a little bit of in school, but not really. There's obviously you're not going to have a velodrome. You're not going to have kind of access to the high-end nature of it, after you've learned to ride safely, basically. So all my serious stuff was all my energy there was spent on cycling. But I still took part in PE, as everyone does going to school, and I'm super competitive, and PE, I guess, kind of became somewhere that I could go and be competitive and try hard and try and beat people. But if I was rubbish, it didn't actually matter, because it was like a really nice sort of supportive environment with my friends where I could just have a go, try and beat them. If I did, I'd laugh at them. No, I'm joking, obviously. If I did, I'd shake their hand, and if I didn't, well, it doesn't matter so much. It's still good fun. So yeah, so that's kind of what PE was to me, to try loads and loads of different sports, get involved, be competitive. But it really didn't matter if I wasn't very good at it, because cycling was where I was putting all my energy on being the best I could be. So that's kind of what PE meant to me, really, was that kind of have a go at a lot of different stuff with my friends, as opposed to cycling, which was very much I wanted to be the best at that, So yeah, so I did use PE kind of well, but not necessarily from such a performance end of things.
More just having a bit of a laugh and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I mean, a competitive laugh. Like, don't get me wrong, I wanted to win, and I wanted to win at everything, but it was with my friends and it was fun, So it took the edge off from racing at the weekend, where I was driving around the country, beating people I've never heard of before, trying to get places on performance programs and all that business. There wasn't that wrapped around it, so it was more kind of trying to beat my mates, which is still good fun, right?
Yeah, brilliant. So obviously we started asking students about 2 weeks ago now for some questions, and a lot of them, I know, we're doing lots of research into you and into cycling. But for those that possibly don't know too much about cycling, but might have watched this today and thought, you know what, this is something that I want to have a go at. How could young people get into cycling, be that track or mountain biking, road cycling? How could they get into it at a level?
Yeah, I mean, we're incredibly fortunate here that there's actually a lot of cycling facilities reasonably close by. So the best thing is to get in touch with your local club. So if you look on the British Cycling website and look for Go Ride clubs, Go Ride is the kind of getting into cycling thing that British Cycling do, and you can find your local club. That's a good place to start. If you want to try track cycling, they have, I think, junior taster sessions, they call them. So if you're 8 years or over, you can just go to the velodrome in Manchester. It's every Thursday. I think it's 5 till 6 on a Thursday. That might be wrong, but you can just book on. It's like 10, 12 quid. And you can have a go for an hour. They'll give you your shoes, a bike and a helmet, and off you go. You know, they'll kind of coach you through it. So to give it a go is pretty easy to do, really. You know, cycling can be very expensive, of course, but to actually have a go and see if you like it is quite easy to do. And then there's countless centres kind of in North Wales, you know, fantastic family trails. We've got Delamere Forest right around the corner. So if you want to do like a guided ride on a trail that you know how hard it's going to be and is like appropriate for the whole family if you're just starting, then there's that option as well. And again, you can hire bikes and stuff there. So they're kind of the three the routes to go down. Speak to the local club and speak to the local facilities who let you kind of try stuff to see if you like it before you have to go get really excited and start buying yourself a flashy bike and wheels and the whole shebang that might come with it.
Yeah. Some very angry parents there, I think. Some expensive Christmas presents for next year. We'll stick the details for the Go Ride stuff at the end of this video as well, so that if anyone is interested in getting involved in cycling, then you can obviously click onto that as well. So that's it now for our questions. Before I pass back over to you, Pete, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone that's researched into Pete and sent in some questions. I had absolutely loads to go through, and if we'd asked and answered every single question, this would have been probably a 10-hour assembly. So thank you to everybody that's wrote in the questions and sent things in to us. Hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully you found it insightful. I know that I have. It was really good to listen to Pete about, you know, how is he coping with this lockdown situation. And at the end of the day, there are a lot more important things that we need to consider, and staying active, staying healthy, enjoying friendship, family. That is really important. That's it from me. Pete, is there any sort of final words that you would like to pass on to the students in the cluster schools?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you for the questions. They made this, you know, good questions make this really easy for me because there's lots to talk about. I think, you know, the thing I've said to so many people is that this is a strange time and it's hard and it's a challenge, and to kind of get the most out of yourself when it's easy to just sit at home and like you normally would do and relax. You know, we don't naturally want to push ourselves when we're sat at home chilling. We don't naturally want to do all the extra bits, but this is going on for a long time and we don't know how long it's going to go on for. So I think to say, firstly, that if you're finding it hard, it is hard. We're all finding it hard. But also, you know, there's so much resource, so many things that you can basically do to make it a bit easier, to make sure that it's not time wasted. And you can almost look back on this and say, you know what, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but it's actually a good time as well. There's things that we can learn from this, things that we can access, like the school sports partnership, challenges each day, you know, anything like that is a bit of fun that we wouldn't have been doing otherwise. So yeah, it is a hard time. Yeah, it's a bit of rubbish for a lot of reasons, but equally there's good stuff in there as well. Just got to look for it.
Yeah, bro. Guys, we are really missing you. Hopefully we'll see you all soon. In the meantime, please get involved with the daily challenges. They're on the Vale Royal School Sport Partnership website and on the social media channels as well. And the links will be to those at the end of this video as well. But thank you very much for watching. Pete, thanks very much for your time as well.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the sunshine going out on your bike now and walking the dogs as well. But thanks very much for joining us.
No problem. No, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers,
everyone. Thank you.
Guys. All right, see you all soon.